You're starting to talk yourself up the emotional ladder, one thought, one conversation at a time, and you start to learn to self-soothe. Hello, trailblazers and beautiful people. It's Michele Phillips. And on this episode of Write Your Outcome, we are going to break down the ladder up technique and the ladder of emotions. I got a lot of response from that people really like using the ladder up technique. So I am going to, first of all, talk about what it is, talk about emotions, and then share how to use the ladder up technique. So as human beings, we love feeling good and we don't like feeling bad. So when we're feeling badly, we usually do everything we can to jump from feeling low to feeling high. And unfortunately, that is the root of most of the troubles. Because if you're feeling really low, I want you to think of feeling low in the form of energy. What are the lowest emotions you feel? Anxiety, depression, lethargy, worthlessness. Just those words are heavy. They're very heavy words, and they're at the bottom of the emotional ladder. Think of a person who's depressed. I don't even have the energy to get out of bed. I don't have the energy to get dressed. Now, that's the bottom rungs of our emotions. And all emotions are good, and all emotions are worthy of feeling them. But some emotions you don't want to swim in and stay in for too long. Now, if I take the top of the emotional ladder, think about, oh my gosh, the best you can feel. Think about that feeling of love and enthusiasm and joy and exuberance. And if you think about a person that's in those emotions, you feel that energy. It's just light and free. And oh my God, it's almost electric. Now, picture trying to go from those low emotions to that high emotion in one fell swoop. It's exhausting just thinking about it. And this is what happens. And this is why we have a tendency to turn to alcohol, drugs, shopping, sex, eating, any of those addictive behaviors, because we're looking to go from feeling low to feeling high. Even the extreme sports, what happens with extreme sports is it's not a bad thing, but when you're in an extreme sport, you are forced to focus on what you're doing. So if you're climbing a mountain or jumping out of a plane or even that runner's high, it takes you out of your head and into your body, and your brain stops thinking about what I have to do later and what I'm worried about. So you feel better. So again, what I like to teach people is you could get in that beautiful flow state without having to, jump from here to here, eat too much, drink too much, jump out of an airplane, that kind of thing. So that's where the emotional ladder comes in. I have up on my screen here some key things I want to go over. And what happens with most human beings is when we feel emotions that are uncomfortable, we have a few ways of dealing with them. We either avoid them, we endure them. Oh, I'm going to power through this, or I'm not going to look. I don't even want to look there because it makes me feel bad. We ignore them, avoid them, endure them. We compete. Oh, you think your life's bad? Let me tell you my story. Oh, you're sick? I'm sicker. Right? I mean, we're crazy, the things we compete for, or we spread our negativity. I know that feeling when I'm in a bad mood, man, and I just want to spread that negativity to anybody else. Who do you think you are being so happy? I'm smart enough to know not to do it, but I know that comes up. So let's think of the emotion. So again, think of them as energy and think of it as a ladder. I want you to imagine that each emotion on the ladder feels a little bit better, right? As you're climbing this emotional ladder. So again, at the bottom of the emotional ladder is, depression, insecurity, fear, but a little bit above that is jealousy. A little bit above that is hatred. A little bit above that is anger. Now, These still aren't good feeling emotions. I get it. But think of someone that's angry has a lot more emotion than someone that's depressed and a lot more energy. So that feeling of anger has a little more energy with it. Again, displaced emotions, but you want to walk up. Imagine if you're on a tall building and there's a ladder on the building. You wouldn't just scurry up the ladder. You would take one rung, 1 foot at a time, and you would go slowly. That's what you could do with your emotions. So jealousy is an emotion I tend to feel a lot. In today's world of social media, I will be the first to tell you, it's so easy to look at someone else's life and think it's better. Now, I've been doing this work a long time, and I know that's not the case. What is the saying? On social media, we show our highlight reels, not our behind the scenes reels. And I love that expression. So when I'm feeling jealous, I may have gone on social media and see someone doing something fabulous, or I might just, anything that makes me feel like, what's going on? I want what they have. I have to look at that and say, okay, what's really going on? And if I look at my feelings, first of all, you have to name it. The shamans have a saying, name it to tame it. If I can name the emotion, I can tame it. So once I know I'm feeling jealous, I see it clearly and I can get out of it. That's the beauty. Once you see this, you can tame it. Most people don't see it. They're just stuck in this cycle of jealousy, of revenge, feeling low, depressed, unworthy. But once I see it, I go, oh, Michele, there's that jealousy. There's that green-eyed monster. And then I have to look at, and what does this person have? What are they doing? And what have I done to get there? Or do I even really want what they're having? That's what's so funny too. Sometimes when I go, do I even want it? No, Michele, I don't want it. But if I do want something that I see someone else, the jealousy, then I have to admit that I'm really not jealous. I'm really a little just discouraged, maybe angry. Let's go angry, maybe angry at myself, a little angry at myself that I didn't do what I need to do to not be jealous. So there's where I go from jealousy to anger. And then I go, do I want to say angry at myself? That's not worth it, right? If beating myself up, what's the saying? I love it. If beating ourselves up worked, we'd all be rich, thin, and, happy. But really, I'm discouraged. So again, jealousy, anger, discouragement. You see how I'm walking one emotion at a time up the emotional ladder. I'm not trying to go from jealousy to feeling great, because that'll make you feel even worse. Did you ever try to do that? Like push yourself out of a bad mood and you're like, oh, and you just get even more dug into your stuckness. So now that I see that it's jealousy, anger, discouragement, maybe I go up the ladder one more rung and say, you know what? It's really worry. I'm worried. Maybe, is it too late for me? Am I too old? Has my time passed? It's never too late. You're never too old. And it's never over till you say it's over. But again, these are the thoughts that filter through our mind. We have to be smart enough to put them in their place. So the ladder up technique, once you name an emotion, you think about where it falls on the emotional ladder in the feeling, right? Again, lifelessness, no energy, a little bit more energy, a little bit more energy. And is the energy, as you walk up the emotional ladder, the energy starts to feel better. So I've gone from jealousy to anger to discouragement to possibly worry and blame to disappointment. I'm just disappointed. I need to focus on different things. Now, again, really, I'm just being pessimistic. Again, these emotions have less heavy energy and lighter energy. And once I can start walking myself up the emotional ladder, my brain gains clarity, and clarity is power. When I'm stuck in those low emotions of jealousy, anger, blame, unworthiness, I'm just spinning in my own horrible emotions. But when I can get up to disappointment, pessimism, maybe just a little frustration, again, it feels lighter. Even saying that feels lighter. So again, picture yourself walking up the emotional ladder, one emotion, one rung at a time. And now I get to the place where I'm like, you know what, Michele? You're okay. I'm breathing. I'm okay. Everything's okay. I just had a little bit of a, old habitual thought pattern that creeped into my mind. It brought my emotions low, and they were temporarily low because I know how to walk myself up the emotional ladder. Once you get to that feeling of contentment, it's like a relief valve. Do you know that feeling when you just get something taken off your shoulders and you go, oh, that was such a relief. So now this has been taken off your shoulders. And now that I'm in a space of contentment, I haven't done anything yet, but my brain is now clear. I can now ask myself, what do I want? What do you want, Michele? I want to create blank. I want to buy blank. I want to travel to blank. Well, if you want to do it, what am I doing about it? So again, once I decide what I want, let's say I want to go to Montana. That's on my list. One of the states I've never been to. Well, so if I really want to go to Montana or Wyoming also, what am I doing about it? So maybe I should just go online and research trips to Montana, trips to Wyoming. And once I start to research, I start to get a little hopeful. I start to get a little optimistic. I start to have positive emotions, positive expectations that if this is something I truly want for myself, I can create it. And do you see how from going from unworthy, I didn't start at unworthy, I started at jealous, and then walking yourself up one emotion at a time, you're able to free yourself. Now, I have said this more times than I can count, but it's worth repeating. Every emotion you feel is like an electromagnetic unit of energy that catches another emotion just like it. So if the emotion is negative, I'm a loser, I can't get what I want, things don't work out for me, boom, another heavy emotion. Boom, another heavy emotion. Boom, an even heavier emotion. And you start spiraling down that emotional ladder till you feel in as little as 10 minutes, you could feel worthless. But if you name your emotion, right, as soon as you feel that gut, that's the thing. I want you to really tune into your feelings. The saying is think before you speak. And I always say think and feel before you speak. The minute you get that like gut punch where something just is off is an indication that your emotions are starting to spiral down. And unless something is actually happening in the moment, if you are bleeding or the building is on fire or you just lost your job or you lost your lover or something bad happened, if none of those things are actually happening, we're making stuff up in our head. I call it fake fear. So if I feel that little in my stomach, I take a breath and I pause and I ask myself, what just happened? Usually I've committed to something I don't want to do. I possibly said something about someone I shouldn't have said, or I just got an email in all caps, or I felt disrespected, or, there's a million reasons you feel that little in your stomach. Again, then I have to say to myself, okay, what's the emotion I'm feeling? I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling unworthy. I'm feeling not seen or listened to. I'm feeling like I'm not following the path of spirituality because I said something about someone. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, this is an emotion. Where does it fall on the energy scale? It feels yucky. I don't want to feel yucky. So what's a thought? And that's where this starts to come from. You're starting to talk yourself up the emotional ladder, one thought, one conversation at a time, and you start to learn to self-soothe. You learn to soothe yourself. That is the gift of the emotional ladder. And I will tell you, if a little, child was in the room right now and that child started crying and, started having, just a temper tantrum or whatever, what would you do to that child? You would probably try to distract the child. Oh, look over here at the keys. Oh, come play with this toy. The same thing applies to us as adults. If I'm having an emotional reaction and something is not happening, like I said, the building is not on fire, I'm not bleeding, nobody's died, then I can calmly ask myself, what is the emotion I'm feeling? What's the level of heaviness, right? Is it down to that depression, unworthiness, or is it just a little frustration, disappointment, overwhelm? And then if you think of those higher emotions of happiness, joy, exuberance, what is a thought I need to think to get there? Now, again, you might say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I want to feel on top of my game. Yeah, you can't make that leap. But you could say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I know it's temporary. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I know it's temporary, I feel a little better. Feeling overwhelmed, I know it's temporary. My phone and my email will always be blowing up because that's the nature of life and business. And when it comes down to it, I always get it done. I always figure it out. I always meet my deadlines. So you see how you're literally talking yourself. You could either talk yourself up this emotional ladder, or you can easily talk yourself down. Now, the undisciplined mind does not even realize that it is talking itself down daily. One little thing happens. It's, if someone says, oh, in my life, it's one thing after another. You keep creating one thing after another, and then that becomes your pattern. So again, using this emotional ladder to lift your emotions is so powerful. And what's so beautiful about it is once you learn to lift your emotions, let me say this, regardless of what's going on in the world is not going to change for you. The world is not going to change for you, but you can learn to change to lift yourself up consistently, regardless of what's going on in the world, that you rarely dip down into those low emotions. And then you start to go from, feeling really good to feeling overwhelmed, to feeling disappointed, to feeling really good, to feeling a little frustrated. And you don't go down into the fear and the guilt and the unworthiness. You spend very little time there. Now, this takes practice. I am not going to kid you, but the minute you feel your fight and flight go on, again, I'm going to say to you, what's happening right now? Is something going wrong that, do you have to fight or flee? And if you're making stuff up, if you're sitting in traffic, that doesn't cut it. I'm not letting you off the hook. So I created some questions, a little emotional checklist. So when you feel, again, that you're off course, what words best describe how I'm feeling? Really zero in on the words. And, again, I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling sad. What's underneath that? I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling I'm not good enough. I'm feeling no matter what I do, I can't get ahead. I'm feeling unworthy. So again, really dig under what you're feeling. And then what thoughts am I having in response to this emotion? And again, this is where all your power lies. You have the ability to focus your attention in the direction you want. Remember, you could go up this emotional ladder once you realize you've got that gun punch, or you could keep going down. Sometimes you're going down so fast, you just have to crash and burn. And again, no, it's temporary. But when you get good at this, you catch yourself. What physical sensations am I feeling in response to this emotion? I really want you to sit with yourself and tune in. Where am I feeling this? Where's my tension? Is it in my gut? Is it in my neck, my shoulders? Because again, your body is talking to you all day long. And most of the time we are ignoring the signals. How intense is this emotion? What action do I tend to take when I experience this emotion? Right? I was a crazy woman, man. So when my fight and flight went on, I was ready to fight or flight. Most of the time I was ready to fight. And I was not being constructive. I was being destructive. So learning that, oh my gosh, the things I blew out of proportion in my early days were ridiculous. I have run myself off the road in a fit of rage. I ran someone else off the road, or I had someone run me into oncoming traffic. I have done ridiculous things that I'm not proud of because I didn't know that my emotions were temporary. I didn't know I could focus my emotions. I didn't know I could manage my emotions by where I put my focus and the story I was telling and the outcome I was writing. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be overwhelmed, but it's not okay to live there 24/7. So if you're in a bad mood for a day, that's a bad mood. But if you've been in a bad mood for a week or two, it becomes a temperament. It becomes who you are. So that's why learning the emotional ladder is important. That's why knowing that when you learn to self-soothe, it's not up to the world to make you happy. It's not up to your spouse. It's not up to your children. It's not up to your government to fix everything for you. It's for us to learn how to live in the world we have. And it's just like a farmer, right? We've got this beautiful planet. We've got the trees and the soil and the wind and everything is here. And it's what we do with it. I can't stop the rain, but I could say, hey, that's God's irrigation system going on. So the emotional ladder, again, is a tool to use anytime you're feeling badly and you want to walk yourself up the emotional ladder, one emotion at a time. Remember, this is not a quick fix. It's not a quick fix, but it gets easier and you learn to ride the waves of emotions. You don't beat yourself up as much and you don't get stuck in those lower emotions. I will tell you, you are never, ever, ever stuck in those lower emotions if you don't want to be. Every event, you can write an outcome. My dad passed away about 1.5 years ago, and it's the one thing that happened in my life that really taught me I get to write the outcome. It doesn't mean my emotions didn't bring me down. It doesn't mean I cried and I miss him and I talk to him daily and I feel him with me right now. But I write the outcome. I could feel sad and do hard things. I could feel sad and be strong. Again, feeling the emotions is one thing, but writing an outcome of a sad, the woe is me story. Why did things happen to me? Why did he have to die? You know what? Acceptance, picking where I am on the emotional scale, writing a new outcome, and then climbing up that scale one emotional rung at a time, one thought at a time, one outcome at a time will help you. So I would love to hear your questions on the emotional, whoops, my bracelet's hitting. I'd love to hear your questions on the emotional ladder. I'd love you to use it anytime you are, you want to shift from one emotion to the next. And you just, you don't want to have you don't want to turn to food and alcohol and all those things, because that's why we're here. We're here to learn. So I would love you to try this on. I always tell my students, don't do this because I say do it. I know it works. It has been a huge tool that I used in my life and I still use in my life. I use it daily, hourly. I want you to try it on for 30 days and you be the judge and then let me know. I would love you to post comments. I would love you to email me, Michele@key2unlock.com. That's MICHELE, 2, unlock.com. And I want you to write your outcome and make it a great day.